Imagine running a marathon, a whopping 26.2 miles on the rockiest plains in the blistering heat to make it across the finish line and hear, "Great job! Now do it again tomorrow." You would look at them puzzled while on the verge of passing out. But yet somehow you run another marathon the next day. This time, your legs are cramping, your body is fatigued, and as you hobble across the finish line, you hear, "Awesome job! Now do it again." Gasping for air, you reply, "I'm so tired." And ever so smoothly, you hear, "That's okay. Just push through." This is what Black women hear all the time as they continue to take on more responsibilities with less help at the destruction of their mental and physical health. In 2016, I received my doctorate, and right before this huge undertaking, I graduated the year before with my master's. I thought about taking a break in between my programs, yet I insisted upon pushing through. While working full-time as a counselor, managing quality time with my husband, and raising our 2 young babies, it was a lot to cope with, to say the least. Yet, I persisted and pushed through. At one cohort meetup, I was exhausted, drained, tired, and discouraged. With teary eyes, I mustered up enough courage to be vulnerable and open up about how difficult it's been to juggle all this purpose on my plate. And this plate was piled high. Kids, husband, job, school, church, community. Immediately, my professor and peers chimed in and replied, "You got this, Keita. This is no sweat. You'll be fine. It's normal. You got that Black girl magic." They gave me motivation. Or was it? Motivation is the process of stimulating people to actions to accomplish their goals. Stimulating another towards a particular goal is not merely with pom-poms and football slogans and cheer, but rather taking time to listen to what that person is saying. Offer empathy, followed by support based on their needs. Afterwards, the only thing that I was stimulated to do was run to my mother, lay on her bosom, and at 30-something years old, cry myself to sleep. Their words gave me minimal motivation and left me empty, and with the only option to resort to what Black women know how to do, which is push through. Having a heart to push is admirable, yet it cannot be the only thing that defines you. White women for years have seen themselves as the hero and also the damsel in distress in Hollywood. Growing up, I never saw the media portray a Black woman being rescued and taken care of. I never even saw a Black woman feel comfortable enough to cry out for help. When can we cry? Feel soft and gentle, awkward and even weird. Black women need room to make mistakes and receive support without judgment. I value being strong, but no one person is one thing. I am strong, and I also have a mental health disorder. At the tender year of 11, my father died suddenly, and his passing triggered a series of mental health issues that I would later face and suppress. To cope with the heartache, inner rage, and turmoil, I began to pull my hair directly from my scalp. To some, this can sound scary and freakish, but for me, it was a sense of release from this dark world that would send the Grim Reaper to take my father away too soon. I pulled my hair when I was anxious. I began to pull my hair when I was overwhelmed, and yet every day would walk out of the house and off to class as if I was the most confident woman on the planet. No one knew that I was hurting. Everyone saw me as strong. After a while, I noticed patches in my head from excessive pulling and felt ashamed and defeated. Bald spots on your head are not exactly a fashion statement. As I grew older, I researched my condition and realized I had a repetitive behavior disorder called trichotillomania. Oh, don't worry, it took me a while to say it as well. My mom taught me to cover up my mental illness with hairstyles that masked my bald spots, yet with no treatment in the form of a therapist, support group, or even a safe person to share these experiences with. I learned to cover it up and push through. Black women are strong. I'll just get over it eventually. The research with Black women and pulling is so minimal that medical experts cannot even report how many Black women have this hair pulling disorder. Yet for white men and women, studies show that 1 or 2 out of 50 people have trichotillomania. Black women do not receive the mental health treatment that they deserve due to cultural implications and a long myth that continues to spread. You know what it is, right? The myth? That Black women are only strong. We can push through at all times, but it leaves room for no error. If we continue to push through without the support from family, medical professionals, and our employers, we're going to continue to break down mentally and physically. We are in a state of emergency where the mental health of Americans is declining, and Black women and women of color are hit the hardest. Blacks are more likely to have feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and worthlessness than adult whites. Serious mental illness rose among all Black people between 2008 and 2018. It seems our strength is valued, but not our humanity. When I wrote my latest book, Success Uncensored, A High Achiever's Guide to Defining Success on Your Own Terms, I went into a state of deep depression due to the amount of pressure I was under in my coaching business, as well as the demanding book publishing deadline. When I shared my struggles with other professionals, the only words that I received were statements such as, "You're so strong. If anybody can do it, a Black woman can." She's strong. Why did my Blackness make me stronger in their eyes? Why was that trait exemplified over others? I remember working on a big corporate contract, facilitating leadership trainings, and as I shared the process with one of my white friends, her immediate response was, "Sheesh, you're so strong. Black women teach me how to get it done." I know, it sounds like a compliment until you realize it's a pattern stemming back to colonialism and slavery, as Black women were responsible for running their own homes, feeding their own children, all while taking care of white families, assisting them with their organizational structure and child rearing. Black women are double minorities, tackling race and gender inequities, which leaves us involved in the middle of most of the injustices that our nation faces. Listen, we are not stronger by choice, but stronger by default. Because our choices in the past, if you want to know, were to choose strength or death. I don't want you to be another professional, employer, or staff member oblivious to the trauma and pain that your fellow Black employees, partners, and friends are facing. I want to give you tips to successfully engage with a Black woman and offer support to the Black woman in times of need. We must move past exploiting our strength and transition into respecting, appreciating, and cultivating the totality of the Black woman. Implementing these diversity and inclusion principles in any work setting or community will provide the support that Black women need, as well as all people of color. In such a fast-paced society, we must slow down to see the people around us for who they are, not the stereotypes that have been placed upon them. From your place of business to your place of worship, alley-oop workshops are essential. So listen, I'm a huge basketball fan. I mean, from the Miami Heat to the LA Lakers. And in basketball, they have something called an alley-oop, an offensive play in which one player throws the ball near the basket to a teammate, who jumps, catches the ball in the midair, and slam dunks it before touching the ground. The player intentionally created an opportunity for his competent teammate to make a shot, which is not only a win for the player, but a win for the team. This basketball term has been incorporated into the continuous practice of advancing a culture of inclusion through intentional, positive, and conscious actions that benefit others. This is one of the most impactful ways individuals can contribute to equitable, inclusive organizations. One must learn how to be an effective ally in the workplace through everyday interactions, in-the-moment interventions, and ongoing advocacy. We also need something else: unconscious bias workshops. In order to dismantle the stereotype and mistreatment of Black women and all women of color, implicit bias must be addressed, such as only seeing Black women as strong. Do you know what that ends up doing? It subconsciously prevents you from offering real assistance if you think the Black woman's okay, but she's not. And lastly, listening circles are needed. A truly inclusive culture is one where employees can vocalize their lived experiences, both at work and outside of it, and feel seen, heard, respected, and valued. It's time to have a community that is willing to be uncomfortable for the greater good. Uncomfortable conversations, uncomfortable times of reflection, and uncomfortable times of self-awareness. Listen, you can't help what you don't see, and we must see the Black woman, learn about the Black woman, support the Black woman, and stop exploiting her strength for our own personal gain. Yes, I am strong. I'm proud of my strength. I'm also loving, kind, sweet, gentle, passionate, brilliant. I can keep going, creative, and most importantly, human. Activist Jesse Williams said it best: just because we're magic doesn't mean that we're not real. I spent several years hiding my hair pulling disorder, suppressing my pain in public, and perpetuating the strong Black woman stigma. But that has stopped. I realized that it has been my willpower that has gotten me from one finish line to the next, but it will take more than my willpower to finish strong. I am currently training for a half marathon, and as a running circle of influence continues to increase, I've gained more insight into several styles of races. I was enamored by something called the Ragnar races. I said, what's that? Ragnar races are about doing something together that you could never do alone. Teams of up to 12 run the 200+ mile relay style from start to finish. However, Black women are currently running 200+ miles alone off of sheer willpower. And in order to go far, you cannot do it alone. Which one of you will join the Black woman as we run this collective race called life to provide a mentally healthy and an inclusive environment for all. Let's run this race as one.